Hello students, welcome to today's session. Today I'll be revising chapter 3, values and data types. So you know that the fundamental aspect of any language is the character set. Okay, the character set consists of three categories: alphabets, numbers, and special characters. Alphabets consists of all the alphabets, capital and small. Numbers consists of digits from 0 till 9, and special characters consists of symbols such as exclamation mark, full stop, comma, asterisk, percentage, dollar. Okay, so these three different categories comprise of the whole character set, and there are two kinds of character sets. First one is the ASCII and second one is Unicode. So ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. It uses 7-bit, that means 2 to the power of 7 gives you 128. That means what? ASCII can represent 128 characters. And what do I mean by represent? Okay. So let's take the example. So here you can see we have got the ASCII values of different alphabets. For example, small a, its ASCII value is 97. Okay. So ASCII says that small a will be represented by the decimal value 97. Okay. And this 97 will be converted into the binary form. So it will be a sequence of zeros and ones. Okay, so this sequence will be actually represented in the computer. So the computer will understand that whenever this sequence of binary is used, it will represent the small letter a. Okay, now you don't need to remember all the ASCII values, but you should remember at least small a is 97, capital A is 65, and 0 is 48. At least these three values you should remember. And when you remember these three values, you can automatically calculate any other alphabet's ASCII value. For example, capital, if you remember that small a is 97 and you want to find out the value of the ASCII value of letter D. So letter D is how far from 97? 1, 2 and 3, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. So you'll just add 3 to 97 and that will give you 100. Okay, so 100 is the ASCII value of the letter D. So this is how you can calculate the ASCII value of any alphabet and any digit. If you just remember, small a is 97, capital A is 65 and 0 is 48. So at least these three values you should remember. The next character set is the Unicode character set. So the Unicode character set, it uses anywhere between 8 to 32 bits. Okay, depending upon the situation, it will use either UTF-8 or UTF-16 or UTF-32. Okay, so obviously it can store a lot more characters than the ASCII character set, and that is why Unicode was brought in, because we have way more than 128 characters throughout the world. Okay, that is why Unicode was brought in, and Unicode is capable of storing way more characters than the ASCII character set. And within the Unicode character set, the first 128 characters represents the same values as that of ASCII, and the next 128 characters represent the extended ASCII. Okay, and the Unicode value in Java is represented by \u followed by a hexadecimal number. Okay, so for example, letter A is represented by 0041. 0041 is the hexadecimal number. So if you want to use it, use the Unicode value of capital A in Java, you'll write \u 0041. Okay, so this will represent the capital letter A. Let's take another example. Let's say you want to represent the small letter m. So its value is 006 capital D, right? So you'll write \u 006 D. So this will represent the small letter m. So regarding the character set, you have to remember that Java uses Unicode character set. Okay, and Unicode is represented by \u followed by hexadecimal number. Okay, now since we have the characters, the next thing is words, isn't it? Even in a normal language, first step is alphabet, then from alphabets certain characters are combined to form a word. Similarly, in Java also, certain characters are combined to form tokens. Okay, so token is equivalent to word of the English language, and there are 5 different categories of tokens. First one is keywords, second is identifiers, third is literals, fourth is punctuators, and the fifth one is operators. Okay, so let's understand the basic definition of token. Token is the smallest unit in Java. Okay, in the Java language. Okay, first kind of token is the keyword. Okay, so what are keywords? Keywords are reserved words. Okay, just like in the English language you have cat. Okay, so cat represents a certain animal. It has got some predefined meaning. You cannot change the meaning of cat. Okay, similarly in Java also there are certain words which have been predefined and you cannot change their meaning. Okay, they are reserved. Okay, for example, when I write class, so this class is a keyword. When I write public, public is also a keyword. Okay, so these keywords are the words of the Java language. Okay, words. Okay, or the token. So this is the first kind of token. Second kind of token is identifiers. Okay, so what are identifiers? Identifiers are names. Okay, so it could be a class name, it could be a variable name, or it could be a function name. So these three, whenever you define a class or when you define a variable, whenever you define a function, that is an identifier. Okay, so an identifier is used to name different components such as class, variable and functions. The third kind of token is literals. Okay, so what are literals? Literals are values. Okay, to put it simply, literals are values that can be assigned variable. Okay, they are values or data, you can say, in other words. For example, if I write the letter A within single quote, so this is a character literal. If I write let's say school within double quotes, so this is a string literal. If I write 2.5, this is a floating point literal. If I write 51, this is a numeric literal or integer literal. Okay, so they are values that can be assigned to a particular variable. For example, if I want to assign this value to a variable, which kind of variable I will use? I will use the char kind of data type. Okay, if I want to store this particular value or literal in a variable, I have to use the string kind of data type or string kind of variable. Okay, so literals are values that can be assigned to a particular variable of certain type. The next kind of token is punctuators. Okay, so punctuators are certain symbols that are used for grouping and separating. Okay, for example, after writing a class, after defining a class, let's say class sample, we open a bracket, okay, and then we close the bracket somewhere down here. Okay, so whatever comes between these two brackets are grouped within these two brackets, and the group name is sample, and the sample is a class. Okay, so this is used for grouping or separating. Another example of grouping is functions. When you make a function, okay, so when you write void main, and within the brackets you will have statements. Okay, let me write it down. So like this, if you write void main, and within the brackets you will have many statements. So this is also a grouping. The group name is main and it's a function. Main is a function. Okay, so this is these were the examples of grouping. And what is the example of separators? Punctuators as separators. So for example, let's say if you are defining variables int x, comma y, comma z, and finally a semicolon. So you can see here that I have declared three variables x, y, and z of the type int, and the variables are separated by a comma. The variables are separated by a comma. So this is an example of separator kind of punctuator. Okay, and finally let's see operators. So operators is the final category of tokens. So operators such as plus, minus, okay, these different symbols are used for performing certain operations. Okay, and it could be an assignment operation, it could be a logical operation. Okay, so for example, for logical operation, if you use double ampersand, it represents AND logic. Okay, so this is an operator kind of token. So we are done with tokens. Let's understand escape sequence. Okay, so what are escape sequence? So escape sequence, it's a set of characters that represent some special meaning, okay, to the Java compiler. So for example, when you write n, it normally, for example, system.out.println, and within double quotes you have written n. So this n gets printed on the screen. Okay, but if you give a backslash here, okay, backslash n, so the meaning will completely change. Okay, this n will not be considered as the character n anymore, the normal character n. Okay, this n will now be taken into consideration along with the backslash. Okay, so backslash n is a single unit now. So this backslash n represents a new line character. Okay, that means what? When you write this anywhere within the double quotes, so wherever it is placed, at that particular place a new line will be inserted. Okay, it will be inserted. So for example, if I write system.out.println a backslash n b, okay, so what will be the output for this? The output will be a and then b on the next line. Okay, so this n backslash n is responsible for taking the cursor to the next line. This is the next line. Okay, so this is the reason why b gets printed on the next line. If this backslash n was not there, the output would have been a b on the same line. Okay, so similar to backslash n, we have got many other escape sequences such as backslash t. Backslash t represents the tab character. Tab means 4 or 5 spaces. Double backslash represents single backslash. Okay, so if you want to print backslash anywhere within the double quotes, okay, anywhere on the output window or the terminal window, you have to write double backslash. So by writing double backslash, you will get a single backslash on the terminal window. Then we have backslash double quotes. So this will print the double quotes. Okay, similarly backslash single quote will print the single quote. Okay, so this was the examples of escape sequences. Next topic is data types. So what are data types? So you know that data can be in different forms. It could be a character, it could be a sequence of characters, it could be a decimal value, it could be a whole number. Okay, so these are the different kinds of data. Okay, so you will be using different data types to store these different kind of datas. Okay, so what are the data types available? First of all, there are two broad categories of data types. First one is primitive and the second kind is non-primitive type. Okay, so primitive types of data, they are built in the language itself. Okay, they are part of the language. Okay, so for example, byte, short, int, long, all these 4 represents the integer kind of data. Okay, the integer kind of data, whole number kind. Okay, next is float and double. Both are used for storing decimal numbers. Okay, those numbers which contain decimals. Okay, and finally you have the character and boolean. Now you need to know what is the size of each of them, of each of the data type. For example, byte is what? It uses 8 bits. Its size is 8 bits or 1 byte. Short is 2 bytes. Int is 4 bytes. Long is 8 bytes. Float is 4 bytes. Double is 8 bytes. okay, and character is 2 bytes, and boolean is 1 byte, but it uses only 1 bit. Okay, so whenever you are asked how many bytes does boolean data type use, you'll say 1 byte. Okay, although it uses only 1 bit. 1 byte is 8 bits. Within those 8 bits it uses only 1 bit. The next category of data type is the non-primitive type. Okay, so what is non-primitive type? So non-primitive types use the primitive types along with other non-primitive types, okay, to create a new data type. Okay, for example, if I say I want student type of data, okay, so which data type will you use from these data types? Okay, will you use short, will you use int, or you will use double or boolean, or what? Okay, actually you'll be combining very many primitive types, isn't it? For example, if I want to store the age of the student, so I'll be using int. Okay, if I want to store the let's say the height of the student, okay, then I'll be using, let's say, double. Okay, so the non-primitive type is a combination of all the primitive types, not all, as it is required. Okay, so it's combination of the primitive types plus other non-primitive types. Okay, so this is data types. What are variables? So variables are containers. Okay, variables are like containers, and what they can contain? They can contain different literals. Okay, different literals value. For example, if I want to store a character, I'll be using the character data type. Okay, so if I write char ch is equal to, so this is actually assignment operator. So the character literal, this character literal will be assigned into this container. Ch is a container, okay, or variable, container or variable. So the variable ch will store what? It will store the letter A. Okay, so this is known as variable declaration. Okay, and when you use the equal to sign, that becomes initialization. So if I just write int x, okay, so what is the meaning of this statement? X is a variable and int is the data type, and this is variable declaration. There is no initialization. In the next line, if I write x is equal to 10, so this becomes initialization. The variable x has been initialized with the value of 10. Okay, and what are default values? So default values, all these primitive types, they are assigned with a default value. Okay, so all the integer types, their default will be 0. The float default value is 0.0f, double is 0.0d. Okay, now this f and d can be either capital or small. Okay, the characters, so the default value of character is null. Okay, the null character. And boolean is by default boolean is false. Okay, so these are the default values of different kinds of data types. Next is constants. Now in the case of variables, when I write int x is equal to 15, initial value of x is 15, okay, but later on anywhere in the program the value of x can change. You can change it to 10, you can change it to whatever number you want, okay. So these three statements finally will change the value of x to 20. The last assignment will represent the final, or let's say the value of x at that point in time. When this line is executing, the x value will be 20. After this line, wherever you use x, the value is 20. After this line and before this line, okay, after this line and before this line, the value of x is 10, okay. So the main crux is that the value of the variable can change, whereas if you want to declare a constant, a variable whose value should not change, okay, then you can make the variable as final. For example, normally you'd write int x is equal to 10, right? But if you place the final keyword here, okay, final int x is equal to 10, okay. So what this final will do is that it will make the x variable as constant, okay. X will become a constant. That means x value cannot change. If I write x is equal to 15 or any number, after this line will give me an error. This is not possible because x is a constant, its value cannot change. The value of the constant x will always be 10, okay. So this is what is meant by constant, okay. And what are comments? So comments are used for writing remarks, okay. So there are three kinds of comments: single line comment, multi-line comment, and documentation comment. Single line is represented by double forward slash, okay. So if you want to write a single line comment, use double forward slash. Multi-line comment means if you want to extend your comment to multiple lines, then you will be using forward slash asterisk, okay, and you write your comments and then finally close it by asterisk and forward slash, okay. And documentation kind of comment is used for writing documents, okay. The documentation represents the working of your program, okay. You write detail of your program in the code itself, okay. So in that case you will be using this forward slash double asterisk, and when you are done you can close it, okay. So these were the three kinds of comments. So regarding variables, okay, regarding variables, when you are declaring any, okay, it's not regarding variables, it's regarding identifiers, okay. Whenever you are using identifiers, okay, I forgot to mention this point, that you must never start a variable, an identifier name with a number, okay. For example, if I write int 5x is equal to 10, so this is not allowed. This cannot be a variable name. A variable name or a class name or a function name cannot start with a number, okay. So you cannot start an identifier with a number. You cannot start it with a symbol except for two symbols, okay, $sign, and the second one is the underscore sign. Only these two symbols can be used in a variable name, okay. So you must go through these rules carefully. There are 4 or 5 rules, you must go through that. So I think I've covered all the important points in this chapter. There's one more point. Semicolon is used for terminating statements. Okay, semicolon is used for terminating statements. Remember this. Okay, so I'll stop here. Thank you.